Hi everyone, my name is Jeff and today I'm going to show you how I made this little fused glass segment bowl. And I call it a segment bowl because it has little segments of colour in it. Each one of those has been laid in individually and then fused and the whole thing slumped into a mould. Welcome to Rocket Rose Art. This fused glass tutorial today on this little bowl should be a bit of fun. And if you haven't seen my videos before, you'll know that I'm going to include everything from the design, the materials, right to the slumping at the very end. If you get to the end and you like it, please hit that like button. If you've got any questions at all, put them in the comment section below and I will answer them. And don't forget the firing schedules are also down in the description below. They're no longer in the video. So we'll get on with making this little bowl. This is the colour palette we'll work with today. It consists of a 4mm clear base, and then the colours we'll be using to make the pattern are the charcoal grey here, which is 1129, the light bronze, which is 1409, the turquoise, which is 1116, and the yellow, which is 1120. Now if you have a look at the pattern here, I've drawn out the shape of the mould, which is this one here, and I've sort of roughly come up with the layout of each piece. Obviously when I'm cutting those, if things don't fit quite well, I will be adjusting that. I've chosen this mould here because it has high sides and I think we'll get a better light through it. It's the same shape as the one that I showed you when I asked you to vote on this. It's just a little bigger. As far as equipment, you may need a grinder because as I'm cutting these shapes, if I can't get them right, I may need to grind the sides to get them straight. And when I cut the base shape here, which I'll do on my ring saw, I may need to grind that to correct any little errors in that as well. Of course, you could just cut this all by hand and snap it, but given that it's 4mm thick, that's going to make it easier. Now, having said that, you could make this with 3mm base and 3mm on top. It just means that your colours are going to be a little darker. Don't forget, all the glass I'm using here is Bullseye COE 90. So if you're using anything else, you'll have to make an adjustment to the firing schedules for that. And keep in mind, every kiln fires a little differently. And I'll be fusing on thin fire paper, and in the mould I'll be spraying it with boron nitride. There's something I need to say about the layout of each piece. I did this keeping in mind the shape of some scraps I've got here, and the main thing I was trying to achieve is that no colour butted against the same colour. So in other words, I didn't have a yellow piece against another yellow piece. So everything butted up against a different colour. I didn't worry about sizes so much or even the layout so much. I just tried to get everything to fit, so it's fairly random layout. And it may change as I get cutting. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go over and cut our base piece out of this 4mm clear, and I'll be doing that on the ring saw. I've marked out the outline of the mould on the glass with texture. I've done my usual trick and put sticky tape over that. So I'll just get the rest of my safety gear on and then we'll get this cut. Sorry to interrupt everyone, but if you'd like to help me financially, you'll find a link in the description below to a merchandise store where you can find some cool stuff to do with fuse glassing, like t-shirts and that type of thing. So I've got my base piece cut and I've cleaned the edges up on the grinder. I've then taken that, laid it down on my pattern here and marked around it, and I'll be using that as a guide to cut all the small pieces. I've also made note of the direction of the base piece. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take each piece of glass, I'm going to draw lines on it where I need to cut it, take it off, cut it, grind it if necessary to make it fit, and then move on to the next piece. So that's all complete, and what I've got is the base on this now, oriented correctly, and I'm going to go around and score all the way around this, and then clean up all these edges. That means these pieces will be a little bit larger, but that's fine because they'll just wrap down around when it's all fused. Right, everything's done. We've cut everything, everything's been ground around the edges to get it into the shape of our base here. By the way, here's a little trick. If you want to keep things in place, get a piece of paper and wet it. It'll hold things in place while you fiddle around assembling everything. Now I am going to put all this on a piece of thin fire on a kiln shelf and get it ready. Remember, it's being fired with the top down, and then we'll put it in the kiln. There we have the fully fused piece, and it's come out really nice. We have a really nice smooth finish on the top. We have a little bit of texture on the bottom, obviously, because that was down on the shelf. The joins around here are a little dominant, but that's to be expected because that was down on the shelf paper. There's a little bit unevenness around the edge, but nothing to worry about as far as I'm concerned. So now I have to make a choice as to which way I want to put this in the mould. I was going to put it in the mould so that the coloured side was the inside of the bowl. But given that I've got to get this video out, and it's in really good condition as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the little unevenness around the edge is anything to worry about. I'm going to put that straight in the mould so that the colour will be on the outside of the bowl and on the inside it will be just simply clear. So I'll get that cleaned up, I'll get my mould prepared, and we'll get it in the kiln for the final slump. Well, I enjoyed making that little bowl. I think it's turned out really nice and I'm very happy with it. I like the colours, though I did make a little mistake with the colours. I don't know whether you noticed, but if you did, let me know what you think that is in the comments below. Best thing about this bowl is it is food safe. because it's got the clear glass on the inside. If I'd made it with that on the inside, the blue there, I believe, is not clear safe, food safe, I should say, though I know the transparent colours are safer than the opal colours. But that's turned out really well. Give it a go. Yeah, I really look forward to your comments. Don't forget, if you want to see a couple more videos right now, you'll find them up there. Subscribe button down there. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.